My weight loss struggle started when I was 5 years old. When I was 5, I looked at myself and the first thing I noticed was my belly. Now, I did hear that my belly was big from people that were around me at the time, family members. I would overhear people talking, Nicole's belly's getting big, maybe she should watch what she's eating. And I remember I dropped out of gymnastics at the time. I was loving it, but I felt really fat in my gymnastics bodysuit. And I was so embarrassed of my belly and how big it was at 5 years old that I didn't even want to go to gymnastics anymore because I was embarrassed of my body. And that's where it started, where I became aware of my body size already. And my body was just starting to develop, and I was already being hard on myself, and I wasn't even hitting teens yet. I was only 5. So it started to progress like that, where I became more and more aware of myself getting chubby. And really, it was just what you call baby fat. It was just my body developing as a little girl. But I internalized it as I was fat. And I hated my body. And I was embarrassed of myself. I was so embarrassed. In elementary school, I made lots of excuses to get out of gym class. I didn't want to be around other kids doing any activities where my belly would jiggle or where I'd have to wear clothing that would show my body in any way. I wore sweatshirts and baggy clothes all year long, even in the summer, because I was so embarrassed of my body. And at 10, 11 is when it really started to get a bit dangerous, actually. And when I say that I got the idea of my belly being big from my family members and from people around me, this is in no way putting them down. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying, as a little girl, I took what I overheard and I internalized it. It was me that internalized it. I'm not putting the blame on anyone. This is just a little girl who is hearing people that she looked up to saying those things and taking it personally. It's not putting blame on anyone. It became progressively worse after that. At 10, 11 is when it started to get dangerous. I was at the point where I was independent enough to start making my own lunches for school. And at the time, I was already really embarrassed of my body, and I was noticing the girls around me at my school, like some were really small, some were gaining weight, but then I noticed there were a couple girls that were losing weight really fast, and this was at 10 and 11 years old. So when I was making my lunch every night, when my parents weren't looking, I would sneak more food into my lunch bag. And then at the time, paper lunch bags were very popular, so I would fill it full of food. And when everyone was asleep, I would eat the entire lunch because I was so ashamed of my body and I was trying to control my food so that I could be smaller, but then it would backfire and I'd end up binging on my lunch and then I'd have no lunch. So I would weight the paper bag down with a pop, and so that it would look like my lunch was still full. And the next day I would punish myself at school, 11 years old, and I would just drink a pop, no lunch. I wouldn't eat all day to make up for what I did the night before. And that was already when the sort of binge restrict cycle started for me. And at that age, I started to go up and down in weight as well, where I was really small and then I would gain weight really fast. And at that point, I actually got sick with pneumonia, but I developed shingles on my left eye, so they actually hospitalized me. And I remember, this is very vivid for me, I will never forget, stepping on the scale at 11 years old. I had to get weighed at the hospital, and I was 111 pounds. And I remember thinking, you're fat, Nicole. And here I am, sick. I got one swollen eye from shingles. I'm not worried about being sick, or they told me I could actually lose some vision in my eye with the shingles. And here's what an 11-year-old girl cares about, is that she's weighing 111 pounds on the scale, and that's too big for 11. And So I played control games with food in the hospital. I would be very picky with my food, and I would not eat certain things, and then I'd eat other things, and that allowed me to get to 108 pounds on the scale. And that's all I did for like the week, 2 weeks that I was there, was I tried to get lower and lower on the scale in the hospital, but not like super low to where they were like trying to get me to eat, just sneakily enough to lose a few pounds. And I can't believe at 11 years old, that's what my brain was thinking. But that's so scary. And then obviously it continued from there. At 13, I hit puberty very young because of my PCOS. I think my hormones were so out of control. I developed a very large chest very quickly, and that got me a lot of attention. And I was already very embarrassed of my body because I was overweight and struggling with my weight and all this eating stuff. And now I had this extra thing to deal with. So I wore baggier clothes, and yo-yo dieting began at 13. I started by just cutting back on foods, by taking away treats, and that just led to me overeating and sneaking food at night or when people weren't looking. And then I discovered at 14 the weight loss magazines, all the the women's diet magazines, where there was these flashy diets on the front covers. And I remember I was babysitting one night and I saw this cover of this magazine in the people's house. It said, lose 12 pounds in 2 weeks. And that was my very first diet that I began. And I did it all wrong. You were supposed to do it was like a low carb diet, but at the time I was not eating meat because I was trying to lose weight by not eating meat. So you're supposed to eat protein and higher fat and lower carb. Well, I ate nothing but vegetables, and that was my low carb diet. So of course I dropped like 14 pounds in 2 weeks because I wasn't really eating. I was just restricting a lot of food. And so to me it worked. And so I went on to the next magazine diet and the next one and the next one, to where I yo-yo dieted so much I was starting to put weight on very fast. And it led to me being plus size in my 20s. And then I developed the binge eating disorder by then. I was binging. I couldn't control. My eating was out of control. I met Kyle in my mid-20s, but we met online. Before I move on, I just want to say, when I said my chest got very large at a young age, I literally went from nothing at 11 to at 12, I was a 38C. And so I got a reduction when I was 19 because it was actually a medical problem. It was actually causing me rashes and really big, I don't know what you call it, but divots, to where it was actually making my posture bad, and it was hurting really badly just to carry that weight in the chest area around. But I also got a lot of comments from family, from friends, from schoolmates about that issue as well. So that, combined with my already body insecurities, I took that on. I'm not blaming other people, but what I would like to say here is, if you're someone who might be saying things and you're not realizing it could actually impact other people, just be mindful of what you say around others about body image, especially if you're a parent, or if you're a close friend or family member of someone you know kind of struggles with some body issues. Just be really mindful of that, because that can really hurt their feelings. And it doesn't mean that it's your fault that they take that stuff on. It's just that if you're mindful of it, it can help support them in trying to figure things out for themselves. And I eventually figured it out. I got a reduction in that. That really helped. But then of course, with my yo-yo dieting and everything, I actually put that weight back on. And then I had the chest stretched again. And then when I lost the weight, it went back down to the size after the surgery that I had. When I met Kyle, I was starting to get close to my heaviest weight. And we met online So that was like in my mid-20s. And when we were gonna meet in person for the first time, I panicked because the picture that I had, I wasn't as heavy. And so one night I was really honest with him and I said, just so you know, like, I'm heavier than that picture. And he said, like, it doesn't matter, I don't care. But I did. So before I met him, I did the craziest thing I have ever done weight loss wise in my life. I found this place that said you could drop like a bunch of inches by getting wrapped up. So you pay a couple $100 and you go to this place and you drink this weird, like, chalky looking stuff. And they wrap these wet tensor band-aids around your whole body, okay?
Like a mummy.
Like a mummy. And you're only wearing like undergarments. And so you got this person like wrapping I'm wrapping up my chubby body in these friggin' wet things. And they're like, okay, now you drank the stuff, you're all wrapped up, you're gonna get on this trampoline and you're gonna jump on the trampoline for an hour. That's what I paid for to drop inches. What were they doing? They're making me get warm so that my body just burns off water weight. There was no real inches lost. Yeah, I lost inches at the end, but that's because my body was tightly wrapped in these weird wet things and I was jumping on a trampoline for an hour. So I paid $200 to get wet Band-Aids and jump on the trampoline. But I was so desperate that I didn't want Kyle to think that I was fat and not like me. So that's what I did. That was the most craziest thing that I had ever done that I kind of knew was like a scam, but I did it anyway. And then together, Kyle and I were overweight when we met, but together we kind of got even worse. Our binging got worse and we got to our heaviest weights together. I was 275 pounds and Kyle was 375. And at that point, at our heaviest, our health was starting to fail. Kyle was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I had sleep apnea, plantar fasciitis, bad back, hip, knee, feet problems. And it was starting to get worse. We could barely breathe when we were walking up the stairs. We couldn't bend down to tie our shoes. So before I get into how we fixed it and how we lost the weight and kept it off, I just want to tell you the reason why I'm doing this video today. And that's because after all of that pain and struggle that I went through, I want you to know that listening to other people and taking that on, their thoughts about you and your body, that's not gonna work. Trying fad diets or quick fixes or like drop however many inches in 1 hour by jumping on a trampoline scams, drinking only meal replacement shakes, anything that has a name or takes away food groups or makes you have to do some crazy plan, none of that stuff works. Hiding your food or your binging from people, sneaking things, trying to get yourself underweight or overweight for, to hide from something, none of that works.
Criticizing your body all day is never gonna help you get unstuck.
And I want to tell you that because I know that pain. That was most of my life that I lived that up, down, put myself down, put myself through all these diets, and I'm trying to save those of you watching this right now from that struggle. It doesn't work, but this is what did work. When my health was failing and I was 275 pounds and I saw Kyle was struggling too, we said, okay, we're making the decision that it's time to love ourselves and try it different. Stop the fad diets and do something that might work.
No more quick fixes. No more trying to fast forward or like make up for lost time. We have to do something practical and real that we could do for the rest of our lives.
And not just something that we could do for the rest of our lives, but something that we could start in that moment when we were struggling. So one of the first things I did do was I went and got help for my eating disorder. And I was working through that as I started the weight loss journey. So if you do struggle with binge eating or any type of eating disorder like I did, please go get some help. It does actually help you when you work through the issues that don't have anything to do with food.
And for us, like, it didn't fix it, but it got us started on the right track.
They helped point me in the right direction so that I could do it on my own. And then what we did on our own was, we already had all this food in the house that we really liked. So instead of, you know, trying to go out and get all this fancy new diet food, we worked with what we had in the house. We could barely walk, so we portioned the food out that we liked. We didn't change the foods we were eating, we just changed how much. We started looking on the internet for serving sizes, and we looked on the backs of packages that were in the house, and we measured according to those packages. And we ate breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 2 snacks. And we just used the labels on the nutrition information to help us plug in how many portions for each meal and snack. And then, because we were liking our food and that was working, we tried to move our body, because walking was the only thing we could do, and it was still pretty difficult.
And a lot of times our egos, our brains, will try to fast forward and say, well, you're out of shape, you don't exercise at all, you're a bad person, so now you need to do some crazy exercises like
Jump rope
or trampolines, some of the HIIT cardio, some of the things that certain so-and-sos on YouTube, bull artists, try to sell you.
Yeah, or any of those like waist trainers or cream rubbings or any of those crazy workout challenges,
Quick
get
fixes.
abs in 2 weeks. None of that stuff was gonna work for us. All that stuff, we had done that in the past with the yo-yo dieting. It does not work. It's like Kyle said, it's bull. What worked? Moving our body the best way we could. All we could do was walk, and it was very difficult to do that. So every day we went out together and we walked. Did we have to stop every 3 or 4 minutes in the beginning? Yeah.
Could we go a long time? No.
No. It was 15 minutes, and half of that was pausing because my plantar fasciitis, or because Kyle's legs were cramping up because we were both so heavy. That was fine. We just moved our body as much as we could, then we went back home. The next day we went out and we did it again.
And little by little, you get a little bit better than you were the day before.
Yes, that was it. It was consistency, liking our food, but eating less of it, and moving our body. So please, love yourself. Know that you're worth it to not do the fad diets and the crap that's being sold to you.
Don't buy into the scam artists by scamming yourself and lying to yourself, you know, over and over and over again, and keep feeding this diet industry, the YouTube fitness industry.
The people that are selling you lies. This is what works. Like your food, portion it out, move your body.
Especially
That's what helps.
Especially people that sell you products and meal plans and meal services that they're not losing weight.
Yeah. We have lost, I have lost, and Kyle has lost. We've lost 130 pounds each and kept it off for 6 years. And we didn't do it through crap that you buy and fancy meal plans and trampoline workouts. We did it by walking and portion control. And that's how we did it. And we liked our food and we ate treats the whole time. And if you want, we have 2 weight loss guides down below, exactly what we ate to lose our first and next 50 pounds, exact portions and meal plans and family-friendly recipes. It's all in there. Watch these 2 videos. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for real information, for 2 real people that are very honest and open about what they're doing and their struggle, and who are actually trying to help you and not sell you baloney. Love you.
See you guys.
Bye guys. Remember, the friends, that weight loss isn't just about the number on the scale. It's also about here and here. Heart and mindset. Fight through it. You can do it. Still